Breaking news. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced plans to convene a national cabinet meeting on anti-Semitism after weeks of public pressure and increasing concerns over the alarming rise in anti-Semitic incidents across Australia. This decision comes in the wake of a series of disturbing events, including an attempted arson attack on a childcare centre in Maroubra, Sydney, where graffiti with hateful anti-Jewish slurs was discovered. Authorities believe the attackers may have mistakenly targeted the childcare facility, as a synagogue is located just 150 metres down the road. Additionally, the home of Jewish leader Alex Rivchin, co-CEO of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, was vandalised with red paint, while cars in the area were also damaged. Rivchin had previously called for an urgent national cabinet meeting following a terrorist attack on the Adass synagogue in Melbourne, but his appeals initially went unanswered. The recent firebombing in Sydney and ongoing vandalism of Jewish places of worship have heightened the sense of urgency. Opposition leader Peter Dutton criticised the delay, stating that if the coalition were in government, they would have taken action immediately. Labelling the surge in anti-Semitism as a national crisis, Dutton emphasised that the upcoming cabinet meeting must produce concrete solutions rather than being a symbolic gesture. The Prime Minister confirmed the National Cabinet meeting will take place on Tuesday evening, following the coalition's campaign promise to address this issue head-on. In a statement, Albanese pledged his government's full support for the NSW police in their efforts to bring the perpetrators of the Maroubra attack to justice under Operation Avlight. Dr. D Abramovich, chairman of the Anti-Defamation Commission, described the rise in anti-Semitic violence as a moral crisis for Australia, highlighting that the cabinet meeting is an overdue but necessary step to combat what he called a declaration of war against decency. Abramovich stated that this is a pivotal moment for the nation to reaffirm its values and to act decisively before the situation worsens further. Recent surveys reveal troubling statistics regarding anti-Semitic attitudes in Australia. Around 20% of Australians, approximately 4.2 million people, hold anti-Semitic beliefs. Alarmingly, among younger Australians aged 18 to 34, many are less informed about the Holocaust, with 18% admitting they have never heard of it, and 9% dismissing it as a myth. Globally, only 39% of respondents in the same age group recognize the Holocaust's historical accuracy. Masked vandals recently targeted 2 Sydney synagogues, spray-painting swastikas on their walls, adding to the community's distress. NSW Premier Chris Minns condemned these acts of hate, urging anyone with information to come forward. He further announced a one-off grant of $340,000 for temporary security measures to protect Jewish communities in the state. The rise in anti-Semitic incidents has also drawn international concern. Israel's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Sharon Haskell, criticized the Australian government's response, suggesting its policies towards Israel may have contributed to the hostile environment. She called for a stronger stance against anti-Semitism to reflect the shared values and long-standing ties between the two nations. Meanwhile, the federal government has plans to send a delegation to Poland to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. Upon Parliament's return, new legislation targeting hate speech and strengthening penalties for acts of anti-Semitism will be introduced. Prominent voices, including former advisor to Barack Obama and current ADL chief executive Jonathan Greenblatt, have called for a whole-of-society approach. This includes increased education about the Holocaust, improved security protocols, stricter social media regulations, and more robust government interventions to address hate crimes. To strengthen sentencing laws, NSW Premier Chris Minns confirmed that his government will pursue additional measures, including mandatory minimum sentences for terrorism-related offences and acts of hate. Courts, he said, must take these crimes seriously and consider their broader implications on community cohesion. As Australians await the outcomes of the National Cabinet meeting, the Jewish community and civil rights advocates are urging leaders to deliver meaningful action that tackles the root causes of anti-Semitism. The spotlight is now on the nation's leadership to demonstrate that these recent incidents will not be tolerated and that Australia remains committed to being a safe, inclusive, and respectful society. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on this and other important stories. Stay tuned for further developments, and let's work together to build a community that stands united against hate.